As an ummah and as a community, we have to think of ways of preventing the identity theft that's happening in our community. One of the major problems is that now you have somebody who has no training, scholastic training, and they give fatwas. They put fatwas up on YouTube. They put fatwas on the internet, and people go and they find these. Or they put a turban on, and they grow their beard, and they put a jubba on, and suddenly they're ulama. And they might speak eloquent Arabic even, because plenty of people can speak good Arabic. And they'll quote the words. The Prophet ﷺ, when in the hadith of Hudayfa, when he asked, would there be shar after the khair? He said yes, and then he said, describe it for us, Ya Rasulullah. He said, tell me what it's like. He said, hum min jildatina yatakallamuna bi alsinatina. They're from us. In other words, they're outward. The jilda, the skin, is our skin. They look like us. And they speak with our tongues. They use our words. They'll quote hadith and Quran. But they're not from us. The Prophet ﷺ said, hum du'atun ala abwab an-nar. They're calling to gates of hell. Whoever answers them will enter into hell. This is a major problem in our community. Every time something happens, now because we're in a globalized, mechanized society where everything shows up now on the internet, so somebody does something across the world that's heinous in the name of Islam, and then it becomes global news. This is a major problem for us as a community, because people look at us and they think we're the criminals, because people have stolen our identity. They're speaking in our name, in our religion. The Prophet ﷺ, some Bedouin once came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he saw the Prophet kiss somebody, and he said, "Tuqabbilu al-awlad? You kiss children?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Wallahi, la nuqabbilu al-awlad. We don't kiss our children." He said, "Awa amriku fi dini man naza'a Allahu ar-rahmata min qalbihi." Do I have anything in my religion for somebody who Allah has taken mercy out of his heart? The Prophet ﷺ, do I have anything? If there's no mercy in your heart, this religion has nothing for you. You need to go find another religion if you've lost mercy. There's people now that can kill with impunity. They can open the chest and take the heart out, and like some jahili person, bite into it. What's happened? I mean, these are questions that we have to ask. What has happened to our religion that has become so perverted and so twisted in the eyes of other people? This is something that should concern all of us, because one of the things about Muslims, they're not muhtakirun. Muslims are not monopolists. They don't want to hoard this religion. They want to share it with other people. Da'wah means invitation. How do you invite people? Ibn Taymiyyah wrote a book in which he criticized the Bible. In the first volume, it's a 6th volume in the way it's published today. In the first volume of that book, he said, we have a problem in Syria. He was living in Syria. He said, we have a problem, because a lot of people don't know this, but it took Syria 500 years before it reached 50% Muslim. Christians were a majority in Syria until the 5th Islamic century. And Subki mentions this. He said, we're fighting each other, and we haven't told this message to the Christians in our own community. There's still a large Christian population. In fact, they took some Christian monks or cardinals there in Syria as hostages, and they want money to release them. So Ibn Taymiyyah says in this book, he says, the Christians come to us and they say, why did your Prophet do this? Or why did he do this? Or that? And he said, we have people amongst us who say, لَا نُعْطِيكَ الْجَوَابِ إِلَّا السَّيْفِ. The only answer we'll give you is the sword. Ibn Taymiyyah says, this is a musibah. He said, Islam spread by hujjah and burhan. It spread by proofs and by hiwar. He said, these people want to spread Islam bisayfi was sinan, with a sword and spears. And he said, when you say that to the Christian, you're confirming the very stereotype that he has. Ibn Taymiyyah in the 8th century is saying this. He said, when you say that to the Christian, you're confirming the very stereotype he has in his mind that Islam is a violent religion. So this is not a new problem. But the problem is that we're in a globalized civilization. So that now you can spread what used to be limited to areas, you can spread all over the world. And you can use this propaganda. So the Muslim, we have to think seriously about this problem in the United States. Because we have increasingly numbers of people that think that the Muslims represent some fifth column, a group of evil doers. They're afraid of you if they see you with your beard or with a kufi. I mean, this is a serious crisis. And now we had in Boston this problem. Where is Islam in this? Where? Somebody explain to me where in Islam our Prophet ﷺ blew up people, innocent people. Where is that? What we have now is people that are working from their anger, just vengeful people. And they're using Islam now as some type of justification for their vengeful nature. Undeniably, Muslims have many grievances. We have grievances. I have grievances. I live in this country. I was born here. I have grievances with what this country is doing. I have grievances with the drone strikes. I have grievances with what we did in Iraq. All those things are true. I have grievances. But my religion does not permit me to live in a country and undermine that country from inside. It doesn't permit me to do that. Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani mentioned in Nawadir wa Ziyadat, he said, if you're in the land of the... Somebody asked him, if you're in the land of the Christians and they're treacherous to you, does that break your oath with them, the ahad that you came in, the covenant that you came in with? He said, if it happens from their government, yes. But if it happens from their ignorant people, then no, you're still obliged to follow the laws of the land. If you come in to a land, you're musta'man. You can't come in with khiyana. Identity theft is a type of khiyana.
And I gave a presentation on Capitol Hill, and it was about extremism. How do we deal with extremism in Islam? And my position was, look, extremism isn't the problem. Everybody's extreme. We live in one of the most extreme societies in the world. Americans are extremists. Our eating is extreme. Our music is extreme. Our houses are extreme. Our consumption is extreme. Our clothes are extreme. There's extremism everywhere. If you told people in Egypt that we have hot dog eating contests where Americans will eat over 100 hot dogs, they would just find that the most bizarre thing in the world. Like, how could somebody go to such an extreme? In my own state, there was a water drinking contest that was put on by a radio station as this promotional thing, and a mother of 3 died. Because if you drink too much water, you can dilute all of your electrolytes and you die. But that's extremism. So extremism's not the problem. And I just said violence is the problem. Violence is one manifestation of human extremism. But if you're going to deal with violence, you have to address violence on all sides. Maybe our violence is a little extreme. Maybe Operation Shock and Awe is a little extreme. I mean, destroying Afghanistan, going after these little guys living in caves in Tora Bora, it's a little bit like smashing a mink vase with a sledgehammer in order to kill a fly that landed on it. But this is the type of extremism that we have on the planet. And when you have extreme actions, you will have extreme responses. This is the nature of the world. إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْغُلُوَّ فِي الدِّينِ. Beware of extremism in the religion. The Prophet warned us. And I've seen people go into psychotic states from doing too much dhikr. I've seen this. I guarantee you. I have seen this with my own eyes. People that go into psychotic states from doing too much dhikr. The ikthar min al-dhikr is something that it's a good thing, but generally, subhanallah, there's certain dhikrs that are cooling, there's certain dhikrs that are heating. These are all sciences that the Muslims have known for a long, long time. I mean, there's a science of the letters, the huruf themselves. You know, the letters that are involved in the names, the divine names, have powers. So it's just very important for people to know that. The best thing that you can do is istighfar and salah ala nabi. La ilaha illallah, afdalu ma qutu ana wa nabiyuna min qabli, la ilaha illallah. Jadidu imanakum biqawlikum, la ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah is a good thing to do. Astaghfirullah is a good thing to do. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Prayer on the Prophet will never hurt you. It will never hurt you. Prayer on the Prophet will always be of benefit. Can't go wrong with that. But people, you know, start doing Ya Fatah, Ya Fatah, Ya Fatah, and do large numbers of things like that. You know, you can. So you have to be careful with all. Religion, to me, it's a double-edged sword. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of religious illness. People just aren't well religiously. You know, and I think you got a glimpse of it at Uhud today. You know, people. I mean, these are places where there should be sakina, tranquility. So when you see agitation, the ego is present. You know, when people become agitated in these places, then it's all just presence of ego.
محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم. محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن
And ignorance and extremism are two sides of the same coin. In fact, we could say that ignorance is actually the primary cause for extremism. And this is a time that we're living in which Islam, unfortunately, is under siege, and also those things that we hold most sacred are being attacked. And so it's very important that we actually try to consider and think about ways of getting out of the current crises and the current situation. In some ways, much of what is happening, if we are critical, we have to come to the conclusion that much of what is happening is in fact partially our own blame. I'm not saying that we are the cause of what these fools, or whoever these fools who drew these cartoons were, but because we have failed to really explain to people who we are, to let people know what our religion is, what we believe, because we've failed to do that, there are many repercussions from that we're suffering. And so in this condition, it's absolutely very important that we attempt to arrive at some solutions to the current crises and the situation that we find ourselves in. And this this evening is actually an attempt to do that also, because it's very important first that we actually have a sound understanding of our religion before we attempt to convey what it is to other people. So it's very important that we come to know and understand our own tradition so that we can actually convey it to others.